Hello. I'm Blurnomnom. I'll be doing commentary on this 21 Streets. I'm running the Essence Break Momentum build, and I missed my meta here because I'm AFK. That's how we like to do it. I never really meta this first pool because I usually save it for the lust pool, and usually I have the pre-meta damage, so it doesn't really matter. But it also doesn't matter to not have it. I open here with Trinket and Hunt because I feel like you need to do a little bit of damage on this pool because it kind of sucks for healers. But I just hate using all of my damage on this pool because then I feel really weak for the rest of it. There's really nothing going on in this pool. You pretty much just dodge grenades and purge on cooldown, which is really annoying to do because it's just a waste of time to purge, even if you get fury from it. But it makes everything better. Oh, and it was Sanguine week. I hate this whole dungeon in Sanguine just because the mobs pull to you, so it's kind of hard to manage the Sanguine. Depending on the key level, sometimes I'll meta this pool because sometimes it's kind of tough on the tanks because depending on the tanks and the situation of the first pool, sometimes they use their defenses and you kind of want to get through this pull fast. But I know this tank and I know that he'll be fine, so I always just save all my damage right here. So pretty much here I'm just using just the basic Essence Break, Blade Dance, just Chaos Strike spams to get through this. Just kick what I can. Make sure you don't let any stasis beams go off because it's probably the worst skill to get hit by or get stuck by. This next pull right here is the Lust pull, which we chain into after one more of these mobs die. And my Hunt just comes right up right now, so that's good. And then my Bleed Trinket will be up in 5. So I wait for all these to gather, and then I-beam Essence Break Blade Dance into meta, into Blade Dance again, into I-beam again, and to I-beam again because my Trinket's up, so I want to get as much bleed as I can. Then I just do my normal rotation. This pool kind of sucks because I'm usually used to playing with tanks who can pull the mobs out of the beams, but warriors can't really do that because they don't have any silences or anything besides kick. So we're pretty much just killing all these mobs. This was my first key with a prot warrior in a long time, and I didn't really know that they have to like chain pull to keep their banner up, which is really hard to get used to, especially like the first time you see it because it leaves a lot of mobs in the back, and I have like a really hard time leaving a singular mob alone to go do damage to a bigger pack because I feel like the mob in the back is going to be annoying and it's gonna just like maybe like do damage to my healer or stasis beam them. Like, see right here, I stayed back because stasis beam was going off and I wanted to make sure I kicked it, and then the mob's so low I didn't want to leave. But then look at all these other mobs in front that I could already been doing damage on. Like, I could have had a full rotation already on all these. But sometimes you have to do what you have to do to make sure it's great. Because see, look, I just get hit by a stasis beam because no one's really on it. Like, that would have literally just happened if I didn't stay. So here I'm just doing normal stuff, kicking, purging, whatever. Using Hunt on cooldown. I'm trying to save my Trinket that's coming up in 10 seconds for the next pull because I know we pull Zygomox, and he's probably the most annoying thing in all the trash packs because he's just like the mini boss. So now Zygomox is pulled. I put Sinful Brand on him. Oh, I don't have Sinful Brand. Oh wait, I do have Sinful Brand. Why don't I have it on him yet? I do it now. I I-beam. I have Trinket pops. So I'm just doing single target rotation. Just Blade Dance Chaos Strikes, keeping my momentum up. It's also really annoying not having more than AoE stun. I'm so used to having Chaos Nova, AoE stun, and Incap, and only having 2 of the 3 is it takes a little bit of getting used to because I'm used to doing all the CCs for the bats here, and now I usually have to at least rely on one other person to get one of them. And I low-key kind of hate relying on anyone to do anything. So as we're doing this, I'm already talking to my tank about like 2 pulls ahead. My meta just comes up right now, and so does my AoE trinket, cash. And I'm already asking my tank if we're going left or right. We're not even on boss yet. We still have this mob pull, and then we have boss. And I'm already trying to figure out like where we're going, because it's just like the whole point of running with people you know, or running with someone that you know who's like in an important role like a tank. It's just knowing what pulls are coming ahead, so that way you can just line up your cooldowns. This week was a fortified week. It was a 21, which is pretty low for a pre-patch, I'd say. Like damage wise, 21s pretty much feel like 18s right now. So right when he told me we were going right, I had already decided that I'm not using my meta or my trinket. I use my single target trinket on the boss, and I save everything else for the next pull when we're going right, because I know it's going to be a really big pull and it's fortified week. So here I'm just vibing, doing whatever. The bosses have like no HP at this level. And the great thing about this build too is that it does good single target damage. That's one of the main reasons why I like this build compared to the other builds, like the Soul Ren build with Ragefire. Those builds are crazy good with Belt Bombard. They're crazy good for AoE, but when you get to the bosses, you can definitely feel how much single target DPS you're lacking. Like, it's actually on a different level if you run Essence Break Momentum. Like, you feel just very strong for trash, and you feel very prepared for any single target situation, which is really good, I think. It's probably the main reason why it's my favorite build out of all of them. I've heard that other people are running the single target raid build, which is Cycle of Hatred. It's pretty much like the old build of Venthyr, where like you fish for lower cooldowns of I-Beam to keep Sinful Brand up. I hear a lot of people are running that in workshops and streets and things like that. But I still think the amount of AoE you lose for like 3% more single target damage on bosses is not worth it. Maybe in Tyrannical Keys, where the bosses have much more HP, it's good, but I still don't think it's worth not going Essence Break Momentum in pre-patch. So right here I have... Oh, I ended up using my trinket. I didn't even know that. This makes sense. I thought I didn't do that much damage on this pull, and I guess it's because I used trinket and didn't know. I used trinket and didn't know, and I definitely meant to hold it in my head, because there's just no reason to use it on the boss. I don't know. I probably just fat fingered or something, because I do that sometimes. So we're going right. He's doing a double pull here, so I'm just pretty much spreading my damage, getting ready. I meta this pull right here. I spread my Sinful Brand. I I-beam to get it up, and then I wait out because I don't want to hit anybody with my damage. And then pretty much it's just me using all my cooldowns right here. This is where you can just see the damage difference, right? Like, I have 100k DPS just because I was prepared for this moment, and I knew that I needed to bring a lot of damage, because the Warlock doesn't do much damage because he was a friend of ours who just isn't that geared, and Rogues just cannot compete in AoE right now because they're just so giga capped with all their skills. This pool actually was like cursed because so many of the mobs sat in the Sanguine because of stuns and things like that. I'm pretty sure I Chaos Nova'd like 4 of the mobs into one of the Sanguine pools because I saw the tank was getting low and I was scared that he was gonna die, and I think that slowed the pool down. I'm pretty sure we body pulled something too, so we wipe here. But I mean, that happens. It's streets. The timer's like insane. But if you see, like, in the pool, I did 7 mil damage, and that's just because I had meta up. And if I used meta on the boss, I would not have had it for that pool, or if I did have it, it would have came up like halfway through. Our healer was trying to keep the pool alive, but it did not happen. They tried their hardest though. This kind of ends up working out though, because the way the timers would have worked if we killed that pull right there, the next thing we do is the mailbox room. We do a big double pull from the mailbox and pull it out, right? If we would have killed that pull in one try, I would not have had meta for that pull. And since this is taking so long for us to all run back because we died at staggered times, it pretty much gives me all my cooldowns back again, which is kind of like a blessing in disguise, I guess. There's our tank flexing his CE mount. That's what he does. So right now this is just going to be like a 4 pull. I think it's just the pat, the corner mobs, and this guy, which is fine because it's pretty much just me just waiting for my cooldowns to come up. This dungeon is also really good for Vein Ripper. If you're running double Vein Ripper in this dungeon, it just does so much damage for some reason in this key. I don't know why. So I'm talking to the tank and we're like talking to each other and I'm telling him I have all my cooldowns so we can do mailbox room instead of like doing a boss or something. I start the market, I run around, start it, come back over there. Pretty much wait for the double pull here. This pull's kind of iffy. It's not a hard pull or anything like that, but it's definitely easy for the Sanguine to heal these guys back up just because of the way they work and how it's kind of hard to move them. Oh, I also have my trinket back up since it took us so long to get back here. So on this pull right here, I pop trinket right there. I I-beam to get the trinket. I beam again because I got a proc to get the trinket. Then I essence break. I blade dance into the hunt, and then I meta and stun them all in sanguine because I'm an idiot. And then I just spam I beam procs because each I beam proc gives me a vicious wound proc, which is like all my damage when I pop the trinket. And then the tank just kites and I just kill. You can just see the difference in damage from everybody else. Then we do this pull. We keep the male elemental alive because he gives a haste buff when you stand inside of the circle, which is definitely worth even in sanguine because you can kind of stand on the corners of the circle to get the haste buff and still not really get hit by sanguine 100% of the time. Or if you like trust your healer, you just eat the sanguine and they heal you and they get mad, but they just do it because you know they love you. That works out nicely. So I'm pretty much just trying to make sure I have I-beam up for the start of this pull because I have no meta, I have no trinket. I have single target trinket up, but not AoE trinket. So I'm trying to just not use any skills really besides like chaos striking and blade dancing, so that way I can open with I-beam into Sinful Brand, into Essence Break, into Blade Dance, into Chaos Strike spams with UBC. So I'm standing in Sanguine right here. I do everything. I get my Sinful Brand. I do Hunt. I do Blade Dance. And my opener's pretty good. It's like 50k. That's 50k burst with literally no meta and just basic rotation inside the male elemental just because you get so much haste, which is just great. Got to make sure that you have to. That's another thing too that it took me a little while to remember is you have to make sure you vengeful retreat in this build because it applies initiate, which is the ability that you got from Night Fae when you were Night Fae that pretty much makes your critical strike chance higher on a target for 8 seconds. So anytime you have a chance, you always want to make sure you're vengeful retreating into like a fail blade or something, so that way you can keep the crit chance up. They're pretty much just blasting this boss. That's one thing that's great with rogues, is they bring good single target damage. Even if they don't have a lot of AoE, they have great utility and good single target damage, which is really nice to have. So right now I'm at 40k overall, which is good. I feel like that's a pretty strong number to be at after these pulls, because those are all your big pulls. Your big pulls, unless you're in like a really big key, your big pulls for the rest of the dungeon are pretty much done. Like now you're pretty much just vibing. You're doing boss, you're doing like a pull of 3, like a single pull, and then the dungeon's over pretty much. I'm pretty much just padding on lackeys here. Pretty much all I do here is just pad. Our healer like loves to do this part. They hate getting on mounts. And they just like doing it themselves. So literally all I really do is just pad. I just find something and just pad on it until they're done. Oh, another thing that's really good about the build here is that since you're spec'd into certain things of glaive, your glaive now like slows anything it hits, like without being spec'd in. Well, you had to be spec'd into it before, but now you're spec'd into it because you want to be. So you don't only get your Vein Ripper proc from being behind the mob anymore, you can get the Vein Ripper proc when you hit from just the glaive hitting the target. So there's just like higher chances that even if you're like playing a little bit messier, or you're like playing in front or playing in the sides, you're not in the back getting back hits, to still proc your Vein Ripper, which is just so much extra damage. I think at the end of the key I highlight how much damage I do, and if I do, you'll see that like Vein Ripper just does so much damage in this. And if you don't know what Vein Ripper is, it's a one-handed fist weapon for Painsmith that has a damage proc on it, and it's the best weapon for demon hunters. I see some high-end demon hunters running only one Vein Ripper with a 311 in their main hand, and I just do not understand it. I think they try and say that it's better for AoE, but with the buff to procs, I just don't understand it. I think it's wrong. Like personally, I just would never wear 311 with a Vein Ripper. I would just wear two 304s. 304 Vein Rippers. So right here our tank's telling us not to kill this guy fast, but I'm like doing the complete opposite because I hate when this dude lives, because it makes the damage meters look worse. So I'm just like instantly killing it. He just wants to make sure that we don't kill it before we get our stacks here, because if you do kill it, there's a chance to get it bugs for the tank, and they don't get any musical notes, which means they get less threat because they don't have a damage amp. So we kill it at a good time. We kill it right when these mobs die, or right when these mobs come out. And here, I just use Hunt. I use Trinket with Vicious Wounds, and I use just Essence Break into the rotation. And usually before pre-patch I would meta this pull just to do any sort of damage, because I had 0 AoE damage if I did meta. But just doing my basic rotation with Hunt and a Trinket, I did 53k on that. So this next pull that comes up, I can use my meta on it and then just amplify the damage again, which just feels so much better than how Demon Hunter was before. Like the fact that I can like spread out my cooldown like that because my kit's actually strong just feels nuts. So right here I wait for them to gather. I don't have I-beam up, so I just Essence Break into a normal Blade Dance that's not Death Sweep, and then I meta, and then I just spam I-beams. And I get 3 procs right here, and then I Death Sweep, and you see my damage is like just consistently still 50k. And then I don't even need meta for the boss, because the best thing about this build is all you really need is to have an I-beam ready with a Sinful Brand, because that's pretty much all your single target damage. Especially if the I-beam procs, then you're just set for the rest of the fight. Oh, a lot of people have been asking me about my HUD. Most of my HUD is all of Atrocity. It's really laggy right now because it hasn't been updated since August, and it's not gonna be updated until I think a week before Dragonflight comes out. But anybody who asks, like, pretty much everything you're looking at is Atrocity, except the rateability timeline where it's showing the skills coming down at the top left. I don't know if you can see my mouse right here. That's rateability timeline, and then the plater I use is my own plater. But everything else is just all Atrocity. I just go to his his Twitch and I just sub and I get his whole UI. But I will say it's pretty intense on FPS lately. I don't know if it's just because of pre-patch, but like my FPS has dropped like considerably. So I in-cap that so we can go through and not pull anything extra. I mean in prison. I always say in-cap, but it's in prison. Same thing though. We do this mob, which I hate. But this is what I mean about how all the big pulls are done in the dungeon. Like we're already at 88%. This guy gives 8%. So like pretty much the whole dungeon of pulls is just over. We're just running the bosses now. So I'm pretty much just doing single target rotation. I definitely probably hunt this guy because I hate him. Do I hunt this guy? Maybe I don't. I guess maybe I save it for the next pull. Which makes sense. This doesn't have that much HP. It's weird watching yourself play. I've never actually like watched, like I've watched myself play or I've like looked at logs, but like to actually talk over and watch what I'm doing is weird. There's lots of things that I could definitely do better. Like right there, I just essence breaked only one singular mob instead of waiting for them to gather and get two. But I guess that's just like being nitpicky. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, that's right. We accidentally pulled this. And I remember being like, "That's fine. I have my cooldowns." And I just popped all my cooldowns on this because I was holding them anyways. This isn't part of the route. The route's just those two mobs, and you pull into the boss. But we got this whole pat, which is fine. But yeah, I don't know. I've never done a commentary video. I feel like I need to talk about a chit chat in between because there's not always something to talk about, yeah? But I also don't know if I should just try and find something to talk about or just chit chat. But this build I'm using and the Soul Run build, if you've played beta at all, pretty much the beta build is, for M plus at least, is both of those builds put together. You're pretty much just playing Soul Run. You're pretty much throwing glaive non-stop and then just using momentum and essence break. It feels a little clunky, but it does a lot of damage. But I definitely feel like this build right here with the legendaries feels better than the beta build. I feel like the way these legendaries work with essence break and momentum and sinful brand is just it feels so strong for Demon Hunter. Like I wish I could have played the whole tier like this. It would have made playing Demon Hunter so much better. This is probably the worst expansion of Demon Hunter I've played for sure. But it seems like it's going back to a better time. Purge this, I kick this. You pretty much do But you see, I didn't have any cooldowns at all, and I'm at 22k. I don't have any gluttony stacks. I don't have any damage amps. I don't have any trinkets up, and I'm still at like 22k. The single target damage of this build just feels amazing. It just feels so strong. I'm actually surprised more people don't talk about that. I see lots of people all the time talking about how the Soul Rend build feels like the single target is bad, but I never hear anyone talking about how this build feels really good for single target. But I don't know. It's definitely my favorite build to use. I probably will use it in all the keys I do till pre-patch is over. But they just made Any Means Necessary proc with Sinful Brand, which wasn't working when pre-patch started, so there's another viable build to play now that should do lots of damage. I'll probably be making videos on that this week, but I still don't think it's going to be better than this. Like, it might be better on AoE, but I just don't think it'll be a better build overall. But I'm going to make videos and try it out and see how it feels. But I just think Any Means Necessary working on Sinful Brand. What that means is it makes Sinful Brand's dots and the damage that Sinful Brand does, it makes it chaos damage. And Any Means Necessary amplifies the chaos damage. So it pretty much just makes Sinful Brand stronger. So that right there is just, it's pretty much just a build that's revolved around getting your meta more to get Sinful Brand like more times through a dungeon. But I still don't know if that's going to be worth the single target you're going to lose for bosses. Like this week for Tyrannical, I just don't even know if it would be worth running, because it's so weak in single target. I don't care what anyone says, you lose so much. Look at this opener right here. The burst is just nuts. I have all my cooldowns up for this. I have my trinket, I have everything. Look, this 60k. I'm already almost at 1 million damage. Like the single target, this is with all the cooldowns. This is the first boss in the whole dungeon where I have all my cooldowns up for the boss itself. And you can just see how strong it is. Like, I'm just doing so much damage. Like, I'm staying at a consistent 50k on this boss. That just would not have been possible before pre-patch. I'd be happy to be at like 20k at the end of this boss usually. And I have Sinful Brand up for 36 seconds, which is great. And then that's the key. We're done. I finished at 37.4k. Oh, 37.7k. It's pretty good. I mean, I feel like that's a solid key, especially for having wipes. We had not multiple wipes. We had one wipe, and I still capped around 37, 38k. I think if we did that pull a little cleaner, and I still somehow got my meta on the mailbox room, I would have been easily at 40k. And if I just played cleaner, I could have done more damage for sure. So that's my first commentary. Hopefully it was cool. I don't really know, but it was nice talking about Demon Hunter stuff to myself, I guess, you know what I'm saying? I'm waiting to see. I think I pull up my overall here. Maybe? Oh yeah, I do right at the bottom. See, statistically, that's Vein Ripper. 3.69 mil. That's a lot of damage. But thanks for watching. If you like it, leave me a like, and maybe I'll do more commentary. Bye.